on the cloud. As you probably know, this class is being recorded. This is Coldwell Banker George Realty. And today we're going to be talking about listings. Remember that I am not a lawyer. I am the manager of the office, and I will give you some of my advice. You can take it or not. You are all independent contractors, free to do whatever you want to do. And today we're going to talk about listings. Listing is the name of the game. It's always been the name of the game. Whoever controls the listing will be a top agent. You can control your time that way because you can take a listing, you put it on the MLS, and then you can go to the beach and wait until the buyer's agents are showing your listing, and then they call you and they say, I got an offer, and sometimes you have multiple offers, and then you control when you're going to present those offers, and you control when you're going to talk to the seller, and you control your time. You can say, oh, I'm busy, I'm showing houses, and you can be right in Santa Monica Pier, and then at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when you pick up your chair, your beach ball, and your umbrella, that's when you go and pull up your emails, print all the offers, call the seller and say, I've been working so hard for you, at the beach, and I have 3, 4, 5 offers to present. We're going to give a multiple counter offer, and this way you work less than the buyer's agent during the transaction. But you have to work harder before to get the listings. But once you get the listings, if nothing happened, negotiation, you still have the listing. And if nothing happened, if you're a buyer's agent, you go back to square one and you have nothing. And maybe the buyers sometimes lose faith that you can help them get a house, and they go to an open house or they go to another agent. So in the meantime, I am going to try to share my screen. I am going to go to www.zformplus.com. There are 2 ways to get to the broker version of Coldwell Banker George Realty. The engine is CAR, of course, and now they call it Lone Wolf Zip Form Edition. The username that you should be using is your first name dot your last name, and the password was the one that you said at the beginning. If for any reason you do not have access to zip form version, broker version, call your manager, call me, and I'll be delighted to set you up, okay? I hope that you can see my screen. If for any reason, you could always unmute yourself. And I am landing in my transaction dashboard. I will create a brand new transaction. I hope you're seeing this is going to be a new listing. This is going to be a property at 12345 Main Street in beautiful Alhambra, California. And 2 people are in the waiting room, so let me let them in. And I work for Coldwell Banker George Realty, and this is going to be a residential transaction. I always leave all my transactions active. If you want to change them, you're welcome to change them. I am an agent, and then this is the most important thing, my templates. This is where a lot of the agents miss it. If you go here, you are going to find office, Coldwell Banker George Realty, commercial lease. You're going to find a commercial purchase. You're going to find the residential lease agreement. You're going to find probate listing. So the one we're looking for is a residential listing. So I'm going to click over here. And I explain to everybody what the company does is create so many menus, like in a restaurant. So if you go residential listing, okay, let's go to Chinese restaurant. If you go to residential 1 to 4, that's a Mexican restaurant. And so we have the menus, and on the menu, it doesn't mean that you're gonna eat all the tacos unless you're Marcos, a taco for chicken and beef taco and a cabeza taco, whatever. It's only one flavor what we're going to be doing here. And so you pick up your menu, which is residential listing. We're going to list the property. And then the zip form goes out there and pick up all the potential forms. It creates the menu for me. It applies the template, and it brings them all to me. Now, this is very simple. Imagine that this system is like a drawer. This is drawer summary. This is parties. That's another drawer. The documents is another drawer. And we go from drawer to drawer looking for our paperwork, okay? So right now, this is the summary of the transaction. There's nothing in it. The moment that we go to the parties, that's the people that are involved in this transaction. These people, don't worry, they come up automatically, but I am in the seller side right now. Today, I'm gonna be working on the seller side. So I'm gonna be clicking sales side. The only person in this transaction right now is me. You know, the listing agent or listing broker, Coldwell Banker George Realty, and I am going to make sure that all information about me is in here. So I'm going to view this profile. Of course, you don't have to do this all the time. Once you save it, it will be saved. I keep it unsaved because I have to be doing this training, but my full name is Caesar. Then I go for my agent ID. When they ask for agent ID, is your license. 7910. You know, same thing goes over here. Listing broker, Coldwell Banker George Realty, Coldwell Banker George Realty license for all of us is 011219690. You don't have to put the full name. Office ID, the same thing as the license. My email, of course, I already typed my email before, caviles@coldwellbanker.com. My business number, that's the office number. My cell phone number is 6757-5550. The fax for the office, 289-7612. If I wanted to have Peter Camp's number and I can put Peter over here, don't worry about that, okay? So I am going to save that information. The more information you type in here, the more it's gonna populate to your forms. So the next document that we're gonna go looking for, we're gonna go and find seller number one. We're gonna find out who is our seller. And I love Sally, my client, Sally, seller. Sally always sign every document that I ask her to do. Sally has an email. Her name is sally@listing.com. Phone number for Sally, 555-1234. You can call her and try to make an appointment with her. She doesn't have a business number. Then she lives at another property. She lives on Union Park Drive. I don't care where she lives. She lives in Glendora, in California. The more information you put here, all this information is gonna go to our forms, right? I don't remember the zip code there, but we'll put 9287, whatever. I'm going to be saving the contact. If you are acting on behalf of somebody, this is the name of the entity, and then this is the name of the person signing for the entity. So let's say that Peter Camp is signing for Coldwell Banker. So over here, we are going to be putting Coldwell Banker George Realty on the first name. And if you wanted to just put Coldwell Banker on the middle name, you can put George Realty. You'll come up like that. And then over here, we're gonna put Peter Camp, and that he is the president of the company. So we're saving that. Now we have two people that are gonna be, I am in the transaction and Sally is in the transaction. Well, Sally has a brother, you know, that or a husband, and his name is Silvio. Last name Seller too, right? Silvio Seller and Sally Seller, and they have another email, whatever that email could be. Oh, that was Sam instead of Silvio. Okay, she's two-timing and somebody else. Then phone numbers 222-888, lucky number. And we need to have an email for Sam. There is for e-signatures, and we're gonna save that transaction. Now we have me, and then we have Silvio and Sally. They're the sellers of the property. Now moving along, I am going to be moving to documents. Okay. When I go to the documents, this is the menu. We have a cover sheet. We have a residential input form. We have a seller's instructions not to go to the MLS. So all of this doesn't mean that I have to eat them all. Remember that my transaction, the property address is in Alhambra. So if I were to have something about the city of Los Angeles, this does not pertain to my transaction. So on the menu, I am not gonna eat city of Los Angeles report. So I am going to delete it out of my transaction, right? And I delete it. No longer will be there, right? Is Los Angeles Department of Water and Power certificate. Let me show it to you for those of you that would like to see it, right? This is in the city of Los Angeles. They charge you for making sure that your toilet, it's a low flow toilet, and they charge you to see for every shower head. And you have to fill this information if you're selling a house in the city of Los Angeles. So we're not going to be doing Los Angeles. So what I'm going to do here, LA Department of Water and Power, I will delete the form. See, that's what you're going to be doing with a lot of these forms that are in here. You're only going to use the forms that pertain to your transaction, okay? So number one, we go to the cover sheet, okay? When we go to the cover sheet, let me put it on full screen. Do you know the buyer's name? No, this is a listing. So this is gonna be left empty. Buyer number two, empty, but look at it. Sally already got some information over here. If we wanted to put the county, of course, then we go here and we put Los Angeles, right? If we wanted to, if we find that Sally has a cell phone number, we're gonna put Sally's cell phone number over here, right? And then the more information we fill in this box, the more that is gonna populate to our forms. Okay, so Silvio, we're gonna copy this one so that way they live at the same house, right? So Silvio, it's living in this property. Well, it doesn't let me copy there. So let's put the sheet 96 South Union, okay? And I know that it was Arizona. Who cares? He lives in Arizona. No problem. There we go. Business number, we fill in all of this information is gonna auto-populate. And then if you have this excess, this is gonna be on the forms that they are gonna be signing. So there'll be an X and their name for them to sign. The transaction, we don't have an MLS number. Street, right? It was 12345. I don't remember what was the address. 12345 Main Street. So we are doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Main Street. Right, in Alhambra. So you continue filling. The more information that you fill about this, the better that you're gonna be when you get to the forms, okay? So continue filling in, and then you wanna put a listing date. If you wanted to put the date over here, it's gonna auto-populate to our form. If you wanna put the expiration date over here, you know, 3, 5, 4, 6 months. So let's say it's gonna be March. I always like to end up at the end of the month. Listed price, we're gonna list it for $950,000. So the more information that you put in here, and this can be also your file. If you wanted to know if there is balances for the mortgages to prepare a net sheet, you can certainly do that. We don't know what the purchase price is gonna be until we accept an offer. We don't know when the closing date, but you can use this as your file as well and keep some information. If you go to Hawaii, since now Hawaii is open, you can run your transaction in front of the, you know, the Hilton, right, and the Waikiki Beach. Escrow information, if you wanted to put your favorite escrow company, go for it. We don't have an escrow number. We don't have an escrow officer. But the more information you put in here, oh, my information pop out, right? Seller's agent's name, it says Caesar. I think it should say Caesar Aviles, right? My last name as well. And it gives me information. For those of you that are older, I still have a pager. No, I'm just kidding. All righty. This is the information that is going to auto-populate to our transaction. So this, once we complete the transaction cover sheet, we are going to go back, and then we go to the second documentation, a residential input form. Yes, you can go to the CRMLS and get the form, or you can go right here and it says, please complete and have the seller sign it. That's just the seller has to sign the MLS input sheet. A lot of the agents have gotten lazy and they don't get the seller to sign it, and then we are in trouble if there is a problem with the MLS. So for those of you that haven't not seen an input sheet, well, this is the input sheet. There is pages, like 12 pages of information. This is everything that has an asterisk. It needs to be filled in, okay? The listing price, the county, the city, anything that is in red is a must. But you should, if you are a top listing agent, your job is to complete this and make a beautiful picture of the house. Anybody reading this is gonna say, wow, I gotta go take a look at this house. It looks beautiful. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. It has a bathroom. It has a shower. It has a big backyard. It has flowers. Your description should be little house on the prairie with a white picket fence. You know, the roof looks wonderful. You know, Spanish style, Italian style, fountains, entryways. The more you describe the property here, the better off that you're going to have more people visiting your your listing. Okay, so it's very important that you do it. For those of us that don't speak good English, you know, we need to maybe have somebody read it for us and see, does it make sense? Or if we have typographical errors, you know, make sure that somebody can proofread it for you, and then you will have a killer description of the property. Now, remember that every listing at Coldwell Banker George Realty gets a free Facebook. It gets a free postcard. It gets a free flyer. Automatically, the information that you type into the MLS input form gets pulled out, and it goes into the, and the photos that you take go into the flyer. So make sure that you take professional photos. That is a must almost in today's day. Very good professional photos, because people are looking at the internet before they go and see the houses. Make sure that you check all the boxes. 12 pages of descriptions, bathroom features, you know, laminate, you know, low flow shower, privacy in the toilet, countertops, utilities, where the sewer are connected, pool, if it has a pool, if it has a common walls for condominiums. You know, sometimes people like to live with no common walls because they don't want to hear the neighbor's noise. Features of the lot. So make sure that you finish filling in this information. The more information you put in here, the better job you're doing for your seller. And when the seller knows that you're doing all of this, you could always say, what's your commission? Oh, I start at 6, 7, 8. Tell me when to stop. You know, by now commission should be 10%, guys. You know, we should earn 10% of every sale. That's what I'm doing. Okay, you fill in this information. Who is the occupant? Is a tenant? What's the phone number to set up appointments? The more you put into this form, the better your listing is gonna look over there, okay? So this is the listing input form, and cannot be printed, type in the computer here unless you go to the MLS and you do it at CRMLS, and then you can import it into here. The next form that we're gonna be talking about is the seller's instructions, and I'm not gonna make a big explanation of it. This is when the seller does not want the property to go to the MLS. In my book, every property should go to the MLS. But if you are gonna paint it, or you're gonna wait 1 week, or you're gonna wait 1 month, here on the number 3, it's number 1, 2, and 3 are the 3 choices. 1, I don't want it on the MLS for 3 days. Okay, after I sign the listing, or 7 days, whatever time you want to put. The other one is, I am a lucky person. I am a superstitious person. My fiance master told me that I got to put the property until October the 31st, Halloween, because the witches are coming out, okay? So that's what you do. My property goes on the MLS on 10/31/2020. Or I can tell that I don't want the property to go into the MLS for the entire listing period. I don't want it. I'm a movie star, I'm a politician. I don't want anybody to go and see what I have my house for sale. I believe all the way through my bones that if you don't put a property on the MLS, the seller is getting less money for their property. That's just my idea. Okay, that's my point of view. So those are the instructions. If the property doesn't go into the MLS, I believe that 100% of all the Coldwell Banker George Real listings should go to the MLS so we can do the best price in the shortest time with the least of inconveniences. We go back to that property.
You phone already, we cannot hear you.
My phone?
No, the internet.
My voice?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. People are telling me that I have nobody can hear me and they came in talking to me. So hold on a second. Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Hello?
Yes,
I hear
sir.
you.
Yeah, I can hear you, Cesar Smiasker.
Okay, well, somebody came in knocking on my door and they tell me that I lost my my microphone. So maybe it's because their computer, not your computer. You guys are at home. You're okay to be there, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
I could hear you, Caesar.
All righty. Thank you. As long as you guys can hear me.
Door knocking, Caesar. The door knocking.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna mute everybody, but then you have permission to unmute yourselves. I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen. Where was I? I was here and sharing. They interrupted me. Okay, but anyway, I was on the seller's instructions. My belief is that you gotta put it on the MLS. The next document that we go is our listing agreement. Guys, this is the most important contract. It comes already with a lot of paperwork. As I always explain, the listing agreement, the purchase agreement is like a tree. The tree has branches, and sometimes we put more branches to the tree, or sometimes we cut the branch of the tree because we don't need that part of the tree. We only need the wood. So the disclosure regarding real estate agency must be signed by the seller, and is supposed to be dated the same day of the listing or before. Never sign this after the listing agreement, because then you are in violation of the civil code. It is required by civil code. The civil code says the law in the state of California. So you got to explain the seller your duties as a seller's agent, as a buyer's agent, or as both, representing buyers and the seller. As I said again, any listing, Coldwell Banker George Realty, whether it's in Puente, Arcadia, Alhambra, and we are doing a transaction with them, it is a dual agency, okay? Don't put Arcadia represents the buyer, Alhambra represents the seller. That is impossible. We only have one broker, Coldwell Banker George Realty, okay? That is the one person. We work for the broker. Even those of you, or even those of us that have a broker license, we work for the broker. If you wanted to know the law, it's right on page number 2. Or let me make it full screen, okay? So I'm sorry. This is the entire civil code. You can read it tonight. You can read it tomorrow, Saturday. You can read it on Sunday. And on Monday, you can come back and tell me what did you understand of it, okay? The next thing, have you seen something like this? Confirmation, see? This will show up again in your documentation. When you are writing an offer, it's gonna have this information. Make sure that you put the license number of the broker, the license number of the listing agent, the license of Coldwell Banker George Realty, and your license when you're writing the purchase agreement, okay? The next document, brand new document. Every transaction, 1 to 4, leases, mobile home, 1 to 4, residential, okay, has to have this stupid form, Fair Housing and Discrimination Advisory, okay? Some people believe that by signing a paper, you're going to erase discrimination in this world. I don't think so. It starts at home, but they want you to fill up a stupid paper anyway. 2 more pages. I hate forms, but we have to do that, guys. It is part of our deal. It is the law. And now equal access to housing, blah, 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 blah. You do not discriminate for age, medical condition, gender, religion, military veteran status, disability, gender identity, national origin, immigration status, source of income, gender, ancestry, primary language, familial status, sexual orientation, color, citizenship, marital status, sex, or race, okay? Make sure that you do that. Be always colorblind. Only the color green, money. If you have money, you buy the house. That's it. If you don't have money, go to the park. The buyers and the sellers have to sign this form. So you sign it by the seller on taking the listing. And then when an offer comes along, make sure that the agent that is writing the offer gives you this form to put in your file so your file will be complete. The next form is called possible representation of more than one buyer or seller, and is a disclosure and a consent. So they're giving us permission to be dual agents when they sign these papers. They give us permission to be dual agent just because we work for a big firm of 350 agents. We need to have this form in our file. And the same thing, the seller sign it at the time of the listing, and the buyer will sign it at the time of writing an offer. So make sure that if the buyer's agent doesn't give it to you, you need to give yours to them and say, please sign this form because my broker wants to be in compliance with the Department of Real Estate rules. It is not just Coldwell Banker rules. It's the Department of Real Estate, the law in the state of California that need all of these forms in our file. Number 4 document is called Wire Fraud Electronic Fund Transfer Advisory. Same thing. The seller have to sign it at the time of the listing because unfortunately we live in Los Angeles County, and Los Angeles County is the fraud capital of the world. Real estate prices are very high. There is people, moving into vacant houses. There's people that pretend that they're the owners. They go to the lenders, they borrow money, they fake your signature. So make sure that sellers are aware of that. And I'm pretty sure that they are already aware, but we need to have the document in our file, okay? So the seller will sign it, Sally and Sylvia will sign it, and then the buyer has to sign it once we go into escrow. So if the buyer's agent doesn't give it to you, you need to give to the buyer's agent and say, buyer, please sign this paper for my file, okay? That is the document number 4. Document number 5 is the residential listing agreement, which we'll be talking about it the rest of the morning. But I'm gonna go show you the other form, which is a seller's advisory. After you sign the listing agreement, then the seller gets an advisory, right? Seller's advisory, and explains to the seller what our duties are, the duties of a real estate agent, the seller's duty. On 1 to 4 units, you have to prepare all the forms, the NHD, the TDS, all of the disclosures have to be prepared. It says in a timely manner. Look at this, timely. That means you need to do and give this paperwork to the buyer within the first 5 days of opening of escrow. And the buyer should read them in 5 days and bring them back to our file. So by day number 10, by day number 15, we should have about 90% of the file complete. Please don't be a lazy real estate agent. Get it over with and go work on the next deal. That's the reason why some agents are not top producers, is because they take the whole month to pick up papers. You can do that in 1 day. You email everything, you call the buyer's agent and say, hey, where's my paperwork? Where's my paperwork? Where's my paperwork? Get it in there, put it in the transaction coordinator, put it on SkySlope, go prospect again for the next one, right? And then you start maintaining your pipeline. This has to be signed. Again, it has to have a date, right? The day of the listing. Make sure don't forget to put dates. Always review your documentation. Sometimes it doesn't auto-populate, so you have to click on the box. There's nothing to fill in here. Sally seller, Silvio seller will sign and date. And then Coldwell Banker George Realty, me, I'm gonna have to put my signature right here. Signature, you're gonna sign with a pencil or a pen or digital ink, right? This will tell the people that we gave them that advisory. The next document is called, and by the way, this is new also as of December of 2019. It is just, the law says that we have to give and protect the consumer in the state of California. We don't share names, address, phone numbers, social security numbers on a transaction with anybody but the people involved in the transaction, with the lender, with the title company, with the escrow company. They also have that privacy notices. I'm pretty sure that you get that from your insurance company, you get it from your credit card companies, you get it from your banks. Everybody in California needs to have this a paper on consumer privacy advisory, right? Nothing to fill in. Buyers have to sign. And seller, in this case, when we take the listing, have to sign, and we will keep this in our file. So those are documents that have to be done at the time of the listing. So let me go back to the listing information, page 1 of the listing. The residential listing agreement is prepared today, right? Today is October the 16th. And this is Sally seller, Silvio seller are giving permission, employ Coldwell Banker George Realty, the broker, beginning today at ending at 11:59 p.m., March 31st of 2021. So they are giving me permission to sell this property. There are 3 documents where we earn our commission. Make sure that you protect it. Number 1 is a listing agreement. The seller give us permission to advertise, to put the property on the market, to put a sign, to put a lockbox. And if we sell it, or if anybody sell it between October the 16th and March 31st, we are entitled to our commission. That's what the contract says, all right? Now, if the seller cancels, by the way, we should not cancel agreement. We only withdraw from the MLS when the seller doesn't want to sell. And if the seller decides to give this house to their daughter, we are entitled to commission, right? So make sure that you tell the seller that they're signing and that we are the exclusive, right? That's when we earn our money. The property is at 12345 Main Street. It's in the city of Alhambra County. We forgot to put Los Angeles, so you put Los Angeles. California, and the zip code in Alhambra, 91801. I guess it did not auto-populate from my cover sheet. The assessor's parcel number, remember, where do we get this? We get it from the title company, right? I believe that is 2345-001-010, whatever. This number comes on the property profile. They also call it the PIN number. They also call it the assessor's parcel number. Tax ID number is the same, okay? The county. For those of you in the Puente, if you're doing business in San Bernardino, make sure that you use the proper numbers over there. Now, if this was a mobile home or if it's manufactured home, you click the box. If we click the box in this case, and I hope that you can see it on my screen, a new form will come up and it says see addendum for additional terms. So when I click here, it's gonna go and a new form was added to my transaction, okay? This house is not mobile home, so I'm not gonna check the box. The next thing is this property is sold as a probate. It's sold as a conservatorship or a guardianship, and it says see addendum for additional terms. So we use the same listing form, but we put another form, another branch to our tree. If this was a probate, I click on probate, look at it. It goes and get me the probate form and it attaches to this form. This is not a probate. Sally and Silvio are still alive, so I'm not gonna check the boxes. We are selling this property for $950,000. over here, you can put any other term. Sometimes I don't know what people want to do, and you can put other terms over here, right? Compensation to the broker. Already, when you use a broker version, it's already set up at 6%. Remember, the box needs to be checked. We are a full service real estate office. We should strive, and I mean strive to get 6%. We spend a lot of time marketing. We spend a lot of money advertising. We spend a lot of money installing a sign. We spend a lot of money putting it on Facebook, making electronic and digital things. We spend a lot of time and money door knocking and making sure that this property goes to the Chinese newspaper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Half of that money, we are gonna give it away to the buyer's agent. Now, I understand that some of us are taking 5% listings, which is okay. At Coldwell Banker George Realty, the agent can go from 6 to 5. No management approval is needed. So you can go in and say, oh, I am a weak agent. I am going to do it for 5%, or my market is a 5% market, and I'll split 2.5 and 2.5 with the other broker. All right. Or caveat, these people want 4.5, right? You can do that. You need to call Lori first, or you can call me, okay? Or you can call Doug before you do that, and you say, hey, they're listing for 950. We have a competition, blah, 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 whatever. You convince me, I'll let you do it for that, okay? Sometimes you might convince me to take a 4% listing. The only thing is that if I see a 4% listing, I can tell the advertising department, I can tell Jenny, do not advertise that property because we're not making enough money, right? We pay for signs, the company pay for money, and we like to make more money. So please make sure that nothing gets listed below 4%, okay? So in this case, I'm gonna go back to my beautiful, I love to bring myself up and believe that I always take 6% listing, okay? As I told you, it should be 7, 8, or 9. By the way, if you take a 6% listing, you could always come down over here and you pay the other person, right? And you say, I am going to be sharing commission to the multiple listing service, and I'm gonna put this person 2.5. It doesn't look fine. Maybe it's not fair, but you work so hard to get 6 over here. Maybe you deserve 3.5 and the buyer's agent 2.5. Remember, the listing agent is the employer. The selling agent is the employee, and you gotta be the employer, okay? So you're welcome to do that. So in this case, I'm gonna be pretty fair. I'm gonna do 3%. So the seller agreed to pay the broker 6%. And then it says, if within 180 days after the end of the listing period, so meaning 6 months after March, if this listing expire and the person that I brought an offer, the person that I show the property buys it, I am entitled to my commission. I know that this is very hard in the real life to enforce. We like to do it in there. What I like to do sometimes is if I'm taking a 3-month listing, I always put here the same amount. I just double it. 3-month listing, then I put 90 calendar days. It's okay, guys. If you leave it 0, then there is no protection. So at least put something in here. I'm gonna leave the 180 because it's there, okay? Now, it is pre-printed on the listing agreement, and I just understand why some of the agents are so weak. This is the contract. There is a document compliance fee of $295 for Coldwell Banker George Realty. It says, in addition, besides paying me my full commission, you're gonna pay me $295 because my company uses SkySlope digital signature. We have to store this documentation and we pay for storage. We need to have a compliance officer that looks at the file and make sure that all the paperwork is in the file. So that's the money goes for. It does not go to no transaction coordinator. This money goes to the company so the company can afford to have broker version, SkySlope, ProGold, all the files in electronic format. That's what the money is going for, okay? We are business people, and I hope that you guys understand that we do have expenses and that we need to find a way to recover those revenues. Similar to what your politicians are telling you. Oh, we have welfare, we have these expenses, we have these firefighters, we have these teachers, we have these kids, we need to raise taxes. That's what all the Democrats are saying. So, you know, we need to raise $2.95 per transaction so we can continue being in business and providing the #1 service, okay? That's enough, Caesar. Get off the soapbox. Seller represent that seller has not previously entered into a listing agreement with another broker, and unless you have another broker that was before and they might have a couple of exemptions, then this will be where the seller will give you exemptions. Also, the seller warrant that the seller has no obligation to pay compensation to any other broker, okay, unless the property is transferred to any of the following individuals. If you put a company here, you know, if he sells to McDonald's, I get paid, Caesar gets paid. So the agent doesn't get paid. Second page, right? We go to the next one. Make sure that the dates are there. The property address is already auto-populated. Additional items excluded. Okay, so the pool furniture, or the patio furniture, whichever way goes out there, right? It's excluded. Even though if it's iron, if it's there, I'm gonna take it. Even if it's concrete table, I'm taking that concrete table with me. Then you put it out there, excluded. Make sure that if you put any exclusion right on this listing, you transfer that exclusion to the MLS. It must match. Items that are included. Okay, all flat screen TVs. Sorry. Are included, right? I'm gonna include it because I already have, you know, flat screen TV in the patio, flat screen TV in the master bedroom. I have a security system. I have a Bose, you know, whole house. You can put speakers, right? Right? Fancy. Don't put, you know, cheap stuff. Fancy stuff included in the sale, and maybe you get more money. All right. So that is included in the sale of the property. Now, watch out, guys. We're having problems with lease or not own items. Sometimes the house has an alarm system. Whoa, it's included, right? But maybe you're paying monthly fees, and when you stop paying, they're gonna go out there and take all the cameras away from you. If you live in some areas where there is a propane tank, it belongs to the gas company that service that. Some of the property have a water softener. Okay, watch out, may not be owned by the seller. Some of the houses have solar power systems, still on a lease. Make sure that you mark it there. Now, if you have items that are lean and they're gonna transfer, right? Maybe the air conditioning and the ventilation is one of those hero loans, or, you know, stupid energy conservation for the state of California with all the tax credits or whatever the house has. Make sure that you do that. It is, you know, seller will provide to the buyer as part of the sales agreement copies of the leases, documents, obligating the seller to pay. Sometimes the seller says, I'll sell the house, but the, you know, solar system is not included. Make sure that you have paperwork that says who owns it, right? Now you explain to the seller that the MLS, it's gonna be published in the MLS. We're gonna publish all the information, and I am a member of CRMLS, and the property will go into the MLS. And then we tell the seller that there are benefits of using the MLS. And so the seller needs to acknowledge here, and you need to initial here. I get a lot of listing where the agent forget to initial here, because at one time it only says broker, and people thought it was the broker needed to sign. No, the agent is acting on behalf of the broker. So agent initials, your initials go right there. We follow the MLS rules, require residential real estate to list it on the property within 1 business day, guys, 1 business day, okay? Make sure that 1 business day, it goes into your listing secretary, it goes to Claudia, it goes to Marisela, it goes to Perla. Make sure that one business day. So if you take a listing yesterday, if you take a listing today, that is Friday, you know, one business day will be Monday, okay? So make sure that you turn it in by Monday, at the latest Tuesday, right? Public marketing with clear cooperation. We are gonna be putting this in the MLS. It's gonna be full marketing of the transaction. Make sure that if you are gonna be using the coming soon status, that you learn and understand it, and make sure that you discuss it with your manager and explain the reasons, okay? You are advised to discuss with the broker the meaning of coming soon and what it really explains. A lot of misconception on this coming soon. When you put it coming soon, you cannot accept an offer until it goes into the market to allow the other brokers to do that. So make sure that you have that in there. Don't do it tricky just so you can double end it. Yes, there are a whole bunch of people out there doing crazy things. Don't be you one of the ones doing crazy things, okay? On page number 3, the seller gives instructions to the broker, right? And so we are instructing the broker to market the property to the public and to start marketing on the beginning day of this agreement. That's what we would like to see. In the event that the seller says don't start until tomorrow or another day, make sure that you put the date here and make sure that you say when the market goes the property to the market. Make sure that you sign that form. And by the way, that form needs to be signed by the manager or the broker. You cannot do that unless you bring it to the manager and the manager signs that form, okay? So make sure that you know how to do that and understand it when you're doing the coming soon or withholding it from the MLS, okay? If you do not want to follow the NAR, clear cooperation, cooperating among brokers, right? Then you have to do this and say clear cooperation does not apply, okay? And you need to understand what that means. It's a whole package like this from the National Association of Realtors, that you need to read and understand what you're doing when you're not putting the properties on the MLS, right? We will be putting the property on the MLS. We are not going to opt out of electronic websites unless somebody says, I don't want my house to go into the internet. I think they're stupid because, you know, 70% of the buyers or even 95% of the buyers go to the internet to look for a house, but they have that option to say, I don't want it. Or I don't want my house to go to Zillow automatic value. I don't want Trulia. I don't want Redfin. I don't want those. So you have to say seller is opting out to some internet features. I think they're dumb if they don't. Everything goes in the internet. That's how people sell. The seller makes some representations, right? That they are not aware of any notices of default. In the event that they are aware, you need to know and you need to tell other people. And there is a form that you need to disclose that the property is under the notice of default. Now, number 10 talks about our duties. This is our job, okay? We have duties. We have the duty to reasonable effort, due diligence to achieve the purpose. We need to show the property, we need to advertise it, we need to market it, we need to make flyers, we need to do what we normally do with any property to make sure that property gets included in the MLS, it goes into the internet, right? So make sure that you're doing your job. Otherwise, the seller will have the right to say, I want to cancel, okay? The broker agreed to present all offers. Guys, all offers that are received, you have the obligation to give them to the seller unless the seller gives you written instructions not to. It has to be in writing, okay? Then the next thing is that all the sellers agree to consider all the offers. They have, if they're in good faith, you consider all the offers and you give a counter offer or you give a rejection. The seller is responsible for determining what price to list the property, okay? Oops, right here. The seller is responsible for the asking price and the selling price. We, the agents, don't set it. We can recommend it based on comparables, but they are the ones that decide. You can decide not to take the listing and say, hey, at that price, I don't take the listing, goodbye. But they are the ones making that decision, okay? Now, the seller within 5 days after this agreement agreed to pay for report. In some parts of the California, you might have a property inspection or a pest inspection. You want to do it at the time of the listing, and you can tell the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, make sure that you pay for a pest control, so that way when the buyer comes along, we already have it and we give it to them, all righty? Also, if this is a condominium, make sure that you check the box over here. The seller within 5 days, so you can put here within 30 days, right? When we open escrow, the seller will pay for the homeowners association documents. That's up to you and the seller agree what to do, okay? Seller further agreed to indemnify, defend, and hold the broker harmless from all claims, disputes, litigation, judgments, attorney's fees, and costs from any incorrect or incomplete information supplied by the seller, right? So that is the reason why we want the seller to sign on the listing input. If the seller says that the house has, 3 bedrooms, it's the seller's statement, not us, okay? So that's why we want the seller to sign on the input. And then this paragraph will protect us, okay? Deposit, the broker is authorized to accept and hold on seller's behalf the deposit to be applied towards the purchase price. We certainly don't do that. On the purchase contract, we say the buyer will take the money to the escrow. So make it a habit. Don't be touching buyer's money. Make sure that the buyer deposit to escrow directly, and make sure that the escrow gives the money to the seller directly when they close escrow, whether by cashier's check, whether by wire, or an escrow check. Now, agency relationship. Remember, we were talking about the agency relationship. There is a disclosure of agency on the top of our contract. We already have an X, and we already make sure that they sign it, okay? Then it says that the broker will represent the seller in any resulting transaction, except as specified in paragraph 3F. There is a possibility that we can be a dual agent, and that's the reason why we have given the client another form that they give us permission to act as a dual agent. The confirmation, we talk about the confirmation of agency. When we've signed the purchase agreement, that's when we confirm our agency confirmation. Who do we represent? We also let them know that there are potential competing sellers and buyers, more than one buyer, more than one seller out in the market. So we check the possible representation of more than one buyer seller form already attached to the tree, okay? Now we tell the sellers, hey, watch out for your security. Make sure that you keep your insurance in check. Imagine that the house gets shown and somebody forgets to turn the kitchen on. And we already had a case in a George Realty in Puente where somebody stole that stove. They stole the stove and the gas was inside the house. When somebody opened the house went kaboom and it burned. Make sure that the seller keeps their insurance active, right? If you have video, audio, make sure that you tell people, put a little sign that says, smile, you're in you're a candy camera. Make sure that you notify people. The other thing is that we are allowing photographs. Right now, people get all crazy about internet, right? And so the seller is giving us permission to put virtual tours, photos into the internet. If the seller doesn't want that, then he has to check here and say, I don't want my house on the internet. I would not take the listing, but hey, that is a true seller's concern. The same thing goes over here. I don't want the listing on the MLS. So then you don't put it in there. But I wouldn't check the boxes. I'd rather not take the listing than have limitations on what I can do and I cannot do in order to market a property. On lockboxes, that's okay. The seller does not want a lockbox, right? Or the seller wants a lockbox. They're giving me permission. You can explain them that now lockboxes are electronic. You can also use CBS codes. You can put time, only show it between 3 and 6 p.m. And before 6 p.m., after 6 p.m., the lockbox doesn't work. So you can tell the sellers now they're good. The same thing goes with a sign. If the seller does not want a sign, that is that the seller has 75% chances that they don't want to sell, okay? Oh, I don't want the people to drive by. If you make a decision to sell, we're gonna tell the whole world, the neighbors, everybody that the property is up for sale, because that's gonna help us get the most money for the property, okay? As we told you before, this is equal housing opportunity. We do not discriminate against anything, okay? We're gonna offer it to anybody. We're gonna follow the federal, the state, the local, every rule in town. We do not discriminate for language, for creed, for nothing, okay? In the event that this was an REO, you click the box and there will be another branch coming to the tree. If this was a short sale, we click the box that says short sale, okay? If this was a trust, you click the box about the trust advisory. Guys, there are two different trusts. If the property isn't a trust and the person that created the trust still alive, still living in the house, the sale is a normal sale, all the disclosures apply. If the property is in a trust and the guy that created the trust is dead and the son or the daughter or the successor trustee is selling, then all of these advisories and exemptions will apply. I hope that you understand that part. Okay, management approval. Lori, Doug,
repeat that
Peter,
again.
and I. Yes. We have permission to, you take a listing and we don't like it. We don't like the price or we don't like the terms. You took a 2% listing. We have the right to say, I'm sorry, this listing is not valid with the company. You cannot keep the listing. We have 5 days to cancel a listing if we want to, okay? In the event that there is a successors or they sign this listing, people sometimes get divorced and they want to get the one wife to do it. So there will be an assignment of the listing and that is valid, okay? In the event that we have disputes, fights between the seller and us, we agree to mediate, okay? That is what we're gonna do. We are going to mediate. We don't want to sell, we cancel the listing and we do that, right? So there are mediation terms, please read them. In the event that we do not arbitrate unless you want to attach the arbitration form, okay? So we do not arbitrate on a listing. We either mediate or we go to court. That's what it actually says. And people don't go to court with this. We usually will make a decision before getting there, okay? We are never that drastic. For those of you that do a lot of verbal promises, it says that the agreement is what's in writing, okay? So do not make promises that you're not gonna fulfill. Ownership, title, and authority. This one says that the seller is warned that they are the owners of the property. Sometimes we're talking to Bob. In this case, we're talking to Silvio and he says, oh, I'm the owner of the property. I'm gonna give you a listing. And he forgot that he has a trust and he had put the property in a trust and that he never recorded it. Well, he should be the Silvio trustee of the trust. But when they do that, they're telling us, I have the authority. If we're missing one signature at the time of the listing and everybody's in agreement, it shouldn't be that big of a problem, okay? So they are telling us I'm the owner. Usually the legal name of the seller will be clarified at the escrow level. When they go to escrow, title company is gonna ask for Peter, Joseph, William III, Smith, 20 names. Sometimes they need to sign, William, Edward IV, the king of whatever, they need to have their legal name So in escrow, it'll be clarified that. So don't be so crazy. Oh, I don't have this or I don't have that. Okay. If for any reason somebody's signing on behalf of a corporation, on behalf of a partnership, on behalf of a company, then there's got to be a natural person, bone and skin person, and that is the person that has the capacity and the title to sign on behalf of that entity. Okay. And so in this event, Sally gives us permission to sign Sally, Silvio, and we guys have a listing the moment that you sign right here. I will sign with my name and I would put the date, and then I got a listing. Sally and Silvio gave Coldwell Banker permission to sell the house for $950,000 starting today, ending on March. And I have permission to put a sign, to put on the internet, to advertise it, to offer the house without discrimination. I have the permission. And if anybody buys it during that time, anybody opens a transaction, then I will get commission. Remember, commissions are payable to Coldwell Banker George Realty. Now, all of the forms, if they start asking you about taxes, you go here and it says, no representation is made as to legal validity or accuracy of any provision, right? And it says, a real estate broker and an agent is the person qualified to advise you on real estate transactions. If you desire legal or tax advice, consult the appropriate professional. Oh, if I sell my house, am I going to be taxed? No, you talk to your CPA. Oh, my brother is in China and he's also owned the property, but he doesn't have a social security number. Oh, talk to your accountant and make sure that you get that clarified. All righty. I already touched upon all of these forms that are attached to the sell listing agreement. I am going to stop sharing and I'm going to open up for questions. But guy, I need questions because I don't know if you already know anything about this or if you know a lot about this. It doesn't matter. We are all learning. Every day I learn something new. Remember, December of 2019, they give us that stupid form about the California what was this one about the California, this one, they just gave it to us. Look at it, October of 2020. 2 weeks ago, I didn't know about this form, so I had to learn it. The same thing, you as a real estate practitioner have to learn the forms that you use in your business. Imagine if I were a doctor and they have the vaccine for the coronavirus and I don't even know that they have it. What kind of doctor am I? Well, I'm a lousy doctor. You know, you have to be like Dr. Fauci. I guess he knows everything about contagious disease. But anyway, you need to learn what's going on with the medicine. You need to know what's going on with real estate every single day to be in the real estate business. Nobody steals a buyer. Nobody steals a seller. If the seller doesn't list with you, it's because there is an agent out there that was able to convince the seller that they were better than you. And if there was you don't get the buyer's offer, the other agent was convinced the buyer that they were better than you. So you have to practice scripts, you have to practice contracts, you have to read about real estate, you have to attend the trainings, you have to go to the sales meetings to know what's going on. So that way, when somebody asks you a question, it doesn't mean that you need to know the answers. If I don't know the answers, I say, gee, I don't know the answer. Let me research it and I get back to you and I give you an answer. And sometimes I have to go to Peter and ask Peter. I go to Lori and I say, Lori, what do you think about this? And we discuss and we learn from each other, okay? There is a lot of agents at Coldwell Banker George Realty that are very knowledgeable and they will help you. There's a lot of agents at Coldwell Banker George Realty that are very knowledgeable and they will not help you. And that's the reason we are independent contractors. Don't get mad. Just don't talk to them anymore. You smile and you move forward and continue, your real estate career. They're more beautiful people than bad people anyway. I just want to let you know. Okay, so good morning for those of you that fall asleep, for those of you that fell off the wagon and you went back to the waiting room, and I accept you. I am glad that you're there. Maggie Johnson says, good morning. Caesar, can I hear? Oh, there was a problem with some of the people that were in the office. So we're having internet issues. So that's why I told Marcos the next time that he see Edgar to punch him on the head. Any questions?
Hello, Caesar. On the listing, on the paragraph 24, the ownership title and authority,
Yes.
you check the representative capacity if the seller is a entity.
Correct.
You check that little
Yes.
box.
Yes.
Okay.
And
got
at least, and they're telling me, and I am accepting it. I have no way of doubting people. I mean, if they tell me, I am the owner of this house, I would like to hire you, I will take the listing and they give me the listing. If 1 week later, or when I'm reviewing the paperwork, I find out that he's not the owner, I'm gonna call him up and say, hey, you lying to me, the contract is void, and I throw it in the trash.
Gotcha.
They didn't have the authority to hire me, so the listing is invalid.
Okay. So in the same token, you also have them sign the RCSD-S, right?
That's correct. If
Thank
this
you.
is a person representing an entity, they sign that form. If it is Val selling his house and I am the agent, and Val tells me, Caesar, I'm the owner of the house right here in Arcadia, I don't gonna doubt that he's not the owner. I'm gonna write it. But if I go to the title company and he says that Marcos is the owner and Val is telling me, hey, I'm the owner, I'm gonna question him and I'm gonna say, hey, Val, I have a property profile that says that you gave the house to Marcos or that your wife is the owner, right? So, oh, Caesar, no problem. I'm gonna call my wife. And so we call the wife and the wife will be the one signing the paper.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Yes, Caesar, I would never lie about me being the owner.
Any other question?
Yes,
I have-
Caesar. Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Caesar, I have two questions. Beginner agents question. You mentioned that some of the forms, I know some of the forms that we have to order beforehand, and I was wondering, are there forms that should be ordered as soon as the listing is signed, or at the beginning of escrow when you open escrow? Because I know some documents have expiration date. So when is it?
Okay, you can use, like, for example, transfer disclosure statement, seller's property questionnaire, agent visual inspection. All that should be done at the time of taking the listing. And a good listing agent will turn all that information into the office file. So when a buyer comes along, we can send all that form to the buyer's agent. The problem is that listing agents are lazy and they are not making sure that all the forms. I'm going to go back to the sharing my screen, and I'm going to tell you what other forms are there. Hold on a second. Let me share my screen.
Caesar, I don't think they're lazy. I don't think we're lazy. I think we're scared.
Well, but if you bring it in and you let me and says, Caesar, can you check this if I have them right? At least you have the opportunity. The manager can take a look at them and say, hey, you forgot the T. You forgot to disclose about the swimming pool, or you forgot to do this. And you do it on the first week of your listing when it's a honeymoon, when the seller can, and you say, hey, I made a little mistake. Can you please correct it? It is very hard at the time of escrow, and there's more stuff coming out at the time of escrow to go and do a disclosure. I'm gonna go back to my list, and this is everything that is right here on the listing agreement. All of the forms should be taken at the time of the listing, right? The agency, that gotta go at the time of the listing and turn into the office. Fair housing discrimination advisory gotta be done on the first day of the listing, and you turn it into the office the next day. possible representation has to be signed the day of the listing, and you turn it into the office the next day. The wire fraud, seller signature should be in our file, broker file, the next day after you take the listing. The listing agreement should be by 10/16, today is Friday, by Monday or the latest on Tuesday. This document signed by the seller, signed by the agent, should be in the transaction coordinator's desk for the manager's approval. This other document, the seller's advisory, it has to be signed the same day because we advise them before taking the listing. And this form should be in our file, in our broker file, immediately when we take the listing. And the California consumer has to be in the listing file. All of this documentation has to be in the listing file. Plus, okay, the residential input form should be in there. In the event that there is this exclosure, has to be even before come into the office and say, hey, manager, the seller wants me to hold it for 1 week. Can you sign here? Lori, Doug, myself, or Peter are the only ones that can sign that form in the company. Okay, so make sure that that paper, if you're holding it from the MLS, it's signed by the management. Okay, the Coldwell Banker George Realty addendum, that document should come into the office the day you take the listing. Okay, the next one is the seller's affidavit of non-foreign status. Whether they've signed it and they give us a social security yes or no, then you will have the seller sign it right here and indicating that they are not foreigners. This is not because I like it. I hate paperwork just as much as you do. Unfortunately, we have to have it because by law, this one is IRC, Internal Revenue Code. If you don't do it, you want the IRS to come after you. No, they're coming after Donald Trump for his $750 taxes. So you don't want to get involved with the law. Bring the paperwork, you know. The other one is you need to, if you don't have the
Hey,
seller's
Cesar,
affidavit,
I got a question, Cesar. Let's just say you're on a listing appointment and they decide not to sign the affidavit. They sign not to decide for whatever reason. The seller says, "I just want to sign just to list the property," and they
No
refuse to
problem.
sign all the rest of the stuff. What would you do there?
Number one, I will take the listing, and then I will, if you, that it shows that you are dealing with a very unreasonable client. If you're gonna deal with an unreasonable client on day number one, why do you get married, right? If you're dealing with an unreasonable woman when you're dating her, don't marry her.
Why not? I mean, that's why the divorce rate's high.
All righty. Okay, so if they don't want to sign the affidavit because they're giving us Social Security, I understand that. You tell them before we go to escrow, we're gonna have to sign this one. Okay, the qualified substitute. You don't want to tell me escrow is gonna ask you, and you have to divulge a lot of your private information. You know. You got it?
Cesar, can I ask you to clarify on the form such as the pest inspection type and the NHD? Because if you order those too early, then doesn't after several months then is no longer valid?
Yeah. That is correct. 6 months is the time. Less than 6 months, they're okay. Over 6 months, you just get an update. If you usually the NHD, I personally, guys, do not order NHD at the time of the listing. That's just Cesar's person. I don't want to know anything about the property more than I need to know. Because the NHD is not for me. The NHD is the seller's is given to the buyer, and it's for the buyer to approve or disapprove. It doesn't matter to me if the property is in a fire area. I don't care if it's underneath the freeway. I don't care if the property is in a flood zone. I don't care if the earthquake is gonna bring it down. There is no earthquake right now. So my job is to sell the property, even if it's a broken house. If they determine that they're gonna fix the foundation or lower the price because of that, that's gonna be at the time of the inspection. Is that, am I clear, Claudia?
Yes, thank you.
All righty, no problem. So the other form that a lot of people don't do is market condition advisory, right? And you get the seller to sign it at the time of the listing, and you tell them, hey, Mr. Seller, you could have multiple offers. You could have, you know, there would be multiple offers coming in or no contingent offers, appraisal contingencies, and you explain to the seller before they get an offer. And then you are, at this time, guys, the reason why the seller doesn't want to pay the 6% is because you guys don't go with 20, 57 pages of paperwork and you tell them, I need to know about FERPTA. I need to know about condition of the property. I need to know about this. And that's the reason why, Mr. Seller, you need to pay a professional the fair amount of commission instead of paying Susie Q from IRN or ABC. She don't even know how to do the one paper, the listing agreement, right? So when they see that you know and you're very confident that this paper and you demand and command and have authority, then that's when a seller says, man, I want to go with Marcos because Marcos talked to me like he knows the business and I am going to go with him. Remember, if you watch TV, Laurie H. Parker got me $2 million. The buyers and the sellers, they want strong people to go with. They don't want a weak agent. I'm telling you, they want, the agent is kind of like the shield between them and the world. So they want a strong agent to defend them and protect them and negotiate on their behalf. Yes. Did I scare you, Marcos? No.
Caesar, I have one more question for you.
Yes.
Some of the forms requires both the buyer and seller signature. And I think you mentioned something about as long as you have it on file, it does not have to be on that one single piece of paper. So you can have two of the same form, but one has just the buyers and one only have the seller. Is that right?
That is correct. In the contracts, it says that these forms can be signed in counterparts. But the problem will be if one of the form has the same writing, right? And is signed by me. And the other document is signed, the same document signed by my wife, and you have both. That means like if my wife and I sign them. The same thing goes with the buyer and the seller. You could have an offer to purchase, sign here, all 12 pages, and you have the same document, right? Written in the same. Unfortunately, the purchase agreement cannot be done. I'm using a bad one, right? But let's say that I have a I have another the same document signed by the buyer. Let's say the market advisory signed by the buyer, market advisory signed by the seller. You put them together, and that is legal.
And
Okay,
Caesar,
thank you.
and Caesar, I'm not scared. I took the listing, remember? So I'm good. Hey, Caesar, can I give an input on that? My recommendation, at least that's works for me, is when you take a listing after you get it into escrow, go through your inspection and just try to meet them sometimes as less as possible. In other words, wait for escrow, wait for all your paperwork to come in. It might take a week, but instead of trying to run over there to get each document signed every single time you see them. Well, at this point now, we're in a different era now. Maybe the DocuSign works better.
But anyway, you as a listing agent should prepare all the 18 documents that you're going to be doing. So when the buyer's offer comes along, you write it up and say, hi, my name is Marcos. My office TC is Tuhan or Claudia or whatever. You can say, please include it on all my communication or whatever. Attach, please find the following document. Agency, consent, my FERPTA, my TDS, my NHD, blah, blah, blah. Please have your buyer sign it within 5 days and return to me. Now, if the buyer's agent doesn't do that and return to you, you're dealing with a flake agent and you need to call and say, hey, are we in or are we out? Do you want to buy this property or should I cancel your transaction and I move on? That's because as a listing agent, right now is seller's market, and you can use that to leverage, to be strong and kick the buyer out and get the next buyer coming in.
Well said, Caesar. You sound like a pastor. I'll see you on
I
Sunday.
will pray, even if it is only one person coming. By the way, I want to thank you guys. You know, you make my day. 24 of you, some of you are repeat people. Tell the other agents that we have these classes. Also, these classes are being recorded. I mean, and sometimes I'm a little embarrassed because, you know, English is my second language. I live real estate. I try to, I am very passionate, as Marcos says, I mean, about this business. I want to help every single one of you from the bottom of my heart for you to become a better real estate agent. If you have any questions, any doubt, you're welcome to email me. By the way, I will never go around your broker. Every time you call, I will call your broker and I'll let them know that you're calling me or that you want this, because I would never contradict Lori. I would never contradict Doug or Peter, because we are always on the same page. We meet regularly. We try to give a message to the entire company. We are one of the best real estate companies in the San Gabriel Valley. We live and breathe to help our agents be successful. So you have nothing to worry. We have the advertising, we have the websites, we have the automatic marketing. Of course, I know that some of you are buyers agents and don't want to learn, become a listing agent. Please don't be afraid. You know, you got to learn scripts. I don't care if they're Tom Ferry's, Mike Ferry's, whatever ferry you want, you know, the Tooth Fairy, but learn some scripts. I recruit people, and I was just going the other day, learning my scripts. You know, I just want to tell you, this is my script, right? 10 questions I need to ask a new agent. Listen, right? Do you have enough money to support yourself for the next 6 months with no commissions income? Those are questions
Yes.
that I ask. The next one, do you plan to work full-time in real estate? The third question, are you willing to door knock or cold call if that is what it takes to succeed? Question number 4, are you
Yes.
comfortable striking up a conversation with strangers? So I have to have my script with agents that want to join the company. You have to have your scripts when you talk to buyers, when you talk to sellers. Make sure you have a series of questions. Where do you want to live? How many bedrooms? How many baths? How many square feet? How many people on title? Do you have cash? Do you have down payment? Do you have good credit? Do you have bad credit? How many houses have you looked into? Are you working with a real estate agent? Believe me, it doesn't work good when you have more than one agent. I'd like to apply for the job of being your real estate agent. All you need to do now is simply sign the contract. Marcos.
Caesar, thank you. And I appreciate you from a long time ago. You do mean well. Thank you.
I mean, remember we used to meet in the mornings and in the afternoons,
Oh, yeah.
Marcos.
You script,
When
yeah.
when you work over here and we role play, we talk about
Yeah.
cases. The
Yeah.
seller says this, what do I tell them when they want to cut my commission, right?
And then you wanted the numbers, and that was a little hard.
Right, so you want to call, you know, you can start easy. I'm going to make you, I mean, if you do a homework, one person a day, 1 week. On week number 2, you call 2 people a day. On week number 3, you call 3 people a week. On week number 4, you are up to 4 people per day. Week number 5, you're on your own, 5 people a day, 25 a week, you know, 125 a month. That will give you minimum of 5 transactions a year. 5 transactions, $50,000. Okay, easy.
Well said, Caesar. That's why I call my mom, my brother, my cousin, and my aunt. And they all said no, but it's okay. That got me used to the no's.
Only Marcos talks. Everybody else went to sleep.
Cesar Smiaska, I have a question.
Yes.
How can I see these videos in YouTube? How do I get it?
Number 1, open every email that I sent you, because I sent a copy of it about 2 days ago. I sent, if you want to know, go to YouTube. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and see if you guys can follow me, okay? So you go like this. I'm going to go, where am I sharing my screen? I am going to share the screen. Share. I am supposed to go to the website, right? Then over here on the address, you do www.youtube, right? .com. On YouTube, there is a search, right? And if you go to the search, I hope you're seeing my screen. You go to Coldwell Banker George Realty, right? You can put it training. And what's gonna happen is gonna give you an old training of us and whatever, but you follow the new logo, this one, okay? Don't listen to James Pye. We used to tape it there, but you know, he's so boring and he's no longer working in the company and it's 3 years ago, so don't even pay attention to that. We have not been able to erase them. I mean, of course, you know, we still have stuff from, you know, from Tom Crosby, God bless his soul. But we do have the new logo, this one, the North Star Coldwell Banker, George Realty. If you clicked over here, you're gonna have a list of all the trainings, right? This one is the training from September the 4th, 2020. This one is August 28, 2020. This one is CB Desk 9/9/2020. We started doing it this year, September of 2020, October of 2020. And today, after we finish this class, you're gonna have the new one, okay? So you're welcome to go and click them. And then when you click, it will be the same as you're watching it right there. Can you see the screen?
Yes, thank you very much, Cesar.
It's just an opinion, right? So that would be the training.
Great, thank you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Oscar. And you know that whenever you ask, I always respond.
I know you're the best, and you know what? Seriously, you're always there for me at least. But I know you're there for everybody.
I'm gonna start crying, Oscar. You know that you and I been we know each other for more than 30 years.
Yeah.
Yes, Caesar, why don't you start passing out a tithing bowl or something like the pastor did?
You've been to church too more, you know, you too often. You know, I only go on Sundays.
Yeah, that's it for me right now. Yeah, Sundays.
Hey, Edward
you, Caesar.
Don,
Thank you.
welcome back to the company, Edward. He fell asleep already.
Yeah, Edward, why did you leave? Welcome back.
What else do we have? Any question? I see MJ says, thank you, Caesar. Yamagi, how do we get recording of this class? Yeah, I just explained to you go to YouTube and put Coldwell Banker George Realty Training, get the new logo, and the classes, Edgar is uploading them to YouTube. Now, if you want me to explain something other than the contracts, next Friday, the class is gonna be on not only CB Desk, but I wanted to teach you how to go to Coldwell Banker University. All of the classes, all of the paperwork that Coldwell Banker has out there, all the podcasts. For those of you that like to listen to videos and stuff of that nature, great classes that you guys have free access 24/7, 365 days a week. It is yours just for the asking. You can decide if you're a new agent, if you're an old agent, if you're a part-time agent, if you're a full-time agent. Get 1 hour a week. Set it up. I don't know if it's, I mean, Marcos is going to tell you to go and pray 15 minutes a day, but I want to tell you 1 hour a week of learning, personal development. You need to get yourself cleaned up, you know, just as you meditate or you prayed every day, you gotta train yourself in real estate once a week, at least 1 hour. And then you learn how to do e-signature. If you have a favorite sister, a friend, a family member that can help you, you say, listen, I'm practicing how to write an offer on a digital signature. Would you please sign it when you receive it? I want to see what you get. And then do one simple 123 Main Street, put all the paperwork, put it on e-signatures. Maybe that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do an e-signature. Some of you might even help me with your emails. I'm gonna send it to you to sign it, and then I'm gonna print it and say, listen, this is how things look signed. Maybe we do that in a couple of weeks. Not next week. It's next week I'm gonna do Coldwell Banker University, but the following week I'm gonna be out on Friday but the next week I will be teaching e-signatures. All,
Caesar,
yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I just forgot to tell you. I mean, I wanted to tell you that you forgot to say not to be a secret agent. In other words, tell everybody that you're an agent. Don't hide it.
That's besides the point. That's besides the point. You need to tell people that you're a real estate agent, and you need to ask, do you need any real estate services? Even recommendations. You know, a good lender right now, you should be talking to everybody, whether you nothing, just friendship. I recommend this lender to do your refinance. If you own a home, you should be considering refinancing at 2.95, whatever. If you don't like to do your business, your personal business with an agent that you know, on television, they have rocket loans and they got owning. All of those people are advertising 3% for 15 years. If you have 2% higher than what they're advertising, it pays for you to talk to your accountant. I'm going to tell you, talk to your accountant and go and refinance your house and pull some money, even if and then pay it in a long time. It is good time to refinance. So talk to people, and then, by the way, when they're happy that they refinance, they will give you buyers and sellers for you to help them in your business. Help people, and the money will come. They will call you because you will be a resource center for real estate. Okay, it's about 11:37. Anybody
Hey,
has
Caesar,
any question? Yes.
No, I don't.
It's you and Oscar, you know. What about Daniel? Good morning, Daniel. You're looking good with your little beanie. I like it when people have cameras and they show their face. I like you when you come in and you unmute yourself too. I like you anyway, but it will be nice if you participate. Don't be a secret agent, as Oscar said.
I don't know if you want to see my picture.
Well, yeah, I don't want to see you live. That's okay. Your picture is good enough for me.
I'm on the road right now, Caesar, so
Good.
taking a listing in Arizona.
But, well, congratulations. Remember, guys, talk to people, talk to people. Just call them and say, hey, I thought about you. Just a reminder. It was very interesting. I spoke with a friend of mine yesterday. He went to kindergarten together with me. I mean, so we graduated high school. He was my best man. He lives in Pittsburgh, and he was vacationing in New York. And I pick up the phone because I saw something in the internet. He had posted a picture, and I call him up and I say, hey, we used to look younger back then. And we chit-chatted, and all of a sudden I might get a referral listing in Pittsburgh. So, hey, you never know when you talk to friends and family. Let them know that you're in the real estate business. Let them know. You don't lose face by asking them for business. It's okay. I mean, if they had a restaurant, they would love for you to go eat at the restaurant, but please pay them. Don't go for free. Pay them their fare and put a lot of tips. They love it when you go to the restaurant and you pay and bring friends and pay. You know, nobody likes to do work for free. Do it for your fair price, and the people will pay you fair price as well. Edward, welcome back. It says, I came back because there's no engineering work for me. Good. There's a selling job for you. Call all of your friends that are laid off, that no longer have engineering job. They might be selling California expensive homes and moving to Arizona, where Marcos is taking a listing. You never know. They move to Arizona. Anybody else? Remember, guys, go to www.mycbdesk.com. I put it in the chat room. www.mycbdesk.com. Okay, that's a place to go. Also, you should go to www.coldwellbanker, right? .com. That's where the public goes sees. You can always put your name and see how your website looks like. Every single one of you has a free website, and you guys are not using it just because you don't spend 1 hour every week learning how to do it, and you can have a beautiful website out there, okay? Free, no charge. All it needs to do is you to spend a couple of minutes, put it out there, and visit it, okay? You could always go to www.car.org, okay? That's the California Association of Realtors website. If you go there, you can put search for an agent or look for a realtor, put your name and see how you look when people are looking for you. In today's market, people Google yourself, Google your name and put Cesar Aviles, Coldwell Banker, or, you know, in that way it will show what Google show about me. Go put yourself, what Google shows about yourself. If you're not using social media, you should. That's just one more way. It's not everything. That's one more way to meet people, socialize with old friends, and let them know that you're in the real estate business, okay? Business. If you are Chinese, you speak Chinese, WeChat, okay? You have to compete with those people that are in WeChat. We sell you a house in America, right? I don't know what they do, but they do real well. If you are investing in real estate, look for people that own 1 to 4 units. Ask the title company. I mean, we are so lucky. We have very experienced title people. I don't know who is your favorite title people. We have Angie, Yolanda, Nancy, Paula. I mean, they've been getting business from Coldwell Banker for a long time. They will be delighted if you call them and say, hey, I want to know about real estate title. Can you teach me how to read a preliminary title report? They'll do it for you. They'll teach you, you learn, and you say, this is what I look for in a prelim. You can call Central Escrow. You can call Moy Escrow. You can call all of those escrow company. You tell them you're with Coldwell Banker. They will be delighted to teach you how to all the expenses in an escrow. Buyer pays, seller pays. We have a whole bunch of lenders that are, they want your business. They will teach you and help you. All of the affiliates are part of your team, and I'm speaking without them. You know, in the sales meeting, we talk because they're in front of us, okay? But no, I use people. I mean, I use my same termite guy in the 1980s. I still call Armando. And I call Yolanda, and I call Nancy, and I call Alba Moy, and I talk to Betty, and I talk to, you know, anybody, and ask questions, and they very delighted answer your questions. So we have no excuse. Title company can give you phone numbers. Of course, it's illegal, but, you know, tell them, hey, I need business. Give me phone numbers, and they'll give them to you as long as you don't tell anybody, okay? Shh, keep it quiet. And so, guys, this is a wonderful business to be in. There is no income limit for boys or girls. There is nobody tells you when to work, when not to work. You can work every single day. You can take Friday off. You can take Thursdays off. You can take Saturday and Sunday off. You are your boss. You are the president of your company, and you are the janitor of your company to pick up the trash. You're also the accountant that takes a look at the checking account. And if your checking account is low in money, it's not my fault. I'm telling you that. I promise it's not my fault. I work very hard for all of you, okay? All righty, it's 10:45 a.m. Somebody put a new message and it says, hi, Cesar, I found my phone's number is wrong on the CB website. How to correct it? Diana, go to your office administrator right now and you will update it and tell them, would you please update my phone number in ProGoal? ProGoal is the program that we use to communicate to Coldwell Banker, okay? Now, if for any reason you are not in the Coldwell Banker George Realty website roster, you need to talk to Red Lee in our Alhambra office. You call them and say, here's my picture, here's my phone, here's my email, put me there. And if he doesn't do it by the end of the business day, you call me and I will kick him up and tell him to do it for you. All righty, Diane? Anything else? Okay, 11:45, you got things to do. I got a lot of business to do. My desk is a mess. I need to work up and finish my week and get ready to enjoy my weekend. So for those in Alhambra, sales meeting, 11 o'clock on Monday. For those in Arcadia, sales meeting on Thursday at 10 a.m. For those in Puente, Tuesday. And don't forget, I understand that Lori having some personal one-on-one Zoom classes. So don't miss them. Learn to do this business and you'll make a lot of money. Trust me, it is a very rewarding business. And if you're not doing it for the money, do it for the smiles on the buyers and sellers when they get the American dream. All righty. Have a wonderful week, guys.
Thank you
Take
very
care.
much, Cesar. You're the best.
Bye. See you next Friday.
God willing, yes.